Good evening, parents. It's so wonderful to see so many of you here tonight for our Literacy NAPLAN information session. Before we start talking about our students' literacy experience with NAPLAN, I'd love to get to know your thoughts on literacy and what you remember about literacy at school. Let's have a chat about that now. Thanks for sharing. That was incredible. It's wonderful to hear your experiences. So tonight on our agenda, we'll be talking about what NAPLAN is, understanding the literacy that's being taught to your children, the literacy concepts, the assessment strategies, and the benefits and limitations of assessments. So what is NAPLAN? NAPLAN, or the National Assessment Program, Literacy and Numeracy, is an annual nationwide assessment for all primary students in Year 3 and 5 that focuses on reading, writing, language, including spelling, grammar, and punctuation, and numeracy. Students undertake these tests as a way to provide the government and education system with an indication of what our students are learning and what areas we need to improve on. Rest assured, the NAPLAN isn't designed to pit students against each other or even other schools. It's designed to help teach the curriculum better and provide the best education we can for your child. All NAPLAN testing is linked closely to the Australian curriculum and what has been and is being taught within our classrooms. What is literacy and what's being taught in our classrooms? Within the Australian curriculum, in each year level, literacy is broken down into 3 strands: language, literature, and literacy. So for each year level, each strand has their own content descriptors. These content descriptors vary throughout the year levels. However, they're all linked within their own strand to create a scaffolding effect to progress each child's learning as they go through their literacy learning experience. We'll be exploring some literacy concepts in depth, which can be found throughout the sample text of the Captain's Chronicle, and we'll show you how we've scaffolded these concepts, including comprehension, language devices, and reading processes, from foundation through to now. Comprehension in the primary literacy classroom is all about understanding what's being read. It can be found in the literacy strand of the Australian curriculum under the substrand of interpreting, analysing, and evaluating. Comprehension is used in a foundation classroom to understand text. This strategy is scaffolded on throughout the year levels to build a literal and inferred understanding of text until Year 5 students have the ability to analyse information and integrate and link ideas from various text sources. Students can apply their knowledge of comprehension to the sample text question number 4. A ship's carpenter should expect 2. Students use the relevant information to make an inference to answer the question. Language devices are used in literary texts to create and produce a feeling of a text. So the figurative language used, a creative way to. Language devices can be found under the literature strand in the Australian curriculum. They fall under the examining literature substrand. Language devices is introduced in foundation as rhymes, stories, and songs. It then is scaffolded quite dramatically to Year 5, where students turn that use of language into an understanding of similes and metaphors. Question 6 of our sample text asks, able-bodied soldiers are the backbone of our pirate ship. The word backbone in this sentence means that these soldiers. Students need to use their understanding of a metaphor to answer the question. Reading processes are the strategies used to decode text, including predicting, cross-checking, self-correcting, skimming, and scanning. Reading processes can be found in the literacy strand under the interpreting, analysing, and evaluating substrand. Reading processes begin in foundation by reading decodable text. This is scaffolded through to Year 3, where students learn to reread text. From there, students scaffold further by being able to predict and confirm what they've read. In question 2 of the sample text, it asks the first paragraph under the heading calling all swashbucklers. Grade 5 students aren't expected to remember a whole paragraph, so applying their skill of rereading is really important to answer this question correctly. Let's have a look at the different assessment strategies used. We use 3 types of assessment in literacy: formative, which is to monitor students' learning; summative, to evaluate students' learning; and record keeping, to keep track of where students are at throughout their literacy journey. We use these forms of assessment as they are ongoing and can be used in our teaching and planning. We can use them to reflect on the findings in order to incorporate the curriculum into our classroom to best benefit our students. Let's explore some of the benefits and limitations of NAPLAN and different forms of assessment. So the benefits of NAPLAN as a form of assessment include the close alignment with the Australian curriculum, so students have already learned what they've been tested on for many years. It also informs policy development, resource allocation, and curriculum planning by the intervention of governments. NAPLAN gives students a chance to demonstrate and be assessed on what they've been learning. This gives them the opportunity to see their results and see how they have progressed and what they can work on and improve. The NAPLAN is limited by the delayed results. Being sat in May and results not being released until August does not depict the learning of a student within those 3 months. Students may have progressed dramatically within that time frame, and therefore the results aren't depicted correctly. There is no differentiation in the NAPLAN tests, so no consideration for diverse learners. This can create a problem with the accuracy of the data from the results of the NAPLAN testing. Pressure can also be felt by teaching staff to produce results, having an effect on their teaching style and focus, and therefore the outcomes of the class. NAPLAN results are freely available to parents. Each parent gets a copy of the results when they're released, and they can also request a copy from the school at any point in time. PROBE is a type of formative reading assessment that is ongoing to monitor students' reading ability. It looks at how readers engage with the text and what specific teaching is required to help and assist reading. The benefits of using a PROBE test as a form of assessment in the classroom is a one-on-one experience. Teachers are really able to not just analyse the reading, but the student as a whole when doing their testing. They use a varying amount of text types, between fiction and non-fiction. It also covers many aspects of literacy, including literal, recognition, inference, vocabulary, evolution, reaction. The aspect of a one-on-one assessment for this type of testing can hinder the student's performance and therefore inaccuracies in the data. The variability of time that the test can be administered, morning or afternoon, can also have an impact on the results of the PROBE test. The PROBE tests are reported within our teams to our colleagues, to the year level teachers, to the literacy support staff, and also with the learning support officers to use the data to improve students' learning. A rubric is used as a summative assessment tool once the students have completed a piece of work. Rubrics allow for clear and consistent requirements, and therefore clear and consistent feedback and analysis. Students' ability is visible and it's easy to interpret on a rubric, therefore easy to extract data from. That data then is used to highlight specific improvement areas. We can use this data to look at what areas in writing we need to focus on. A rubric is a targeted form of assessment, and therefore not all aspects of literacy are included. Clarity and interpretation of the rubric is really up to the teacher, and therefore may be diverse in its responses and the outcomes and data. Thank you all for taking the time to come tonight. We hope that tonight's eased some questions that you've had about NAPLAN. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with us, but do remember that we're doing everything we can to ensure that your child's ready for NAPLAN, but even more so, ready for the real world. Please don't hesitate to ask us any questions. Thank you again. Good night.